everybody. I have recorded some beautiful videos, a nice round, and also a set of coasters, but this time making blooms rather than swiping. I think swiping is great, and I love swiping. And at first, when I learned bloom technique, I did a lot of swiping on those hexagonal pieces, and I learned how to, maneuver, etc. But I also love blooms on coasters, so I made a nice set. But in those videos, I used a couple of concepts, and I thought I better introduce my concepts in what I call like a dry tip. And then when you hear me talking about it in my videos, then you know what I mean. And they're not difficult, or they're easy. Once I say them, everybody would understand what I mean. But I will go in detail a bit in how I see it and what's the advantage of it. So the very first concept is controlled spinning. Of course, when you have a piece and you just go quick, the scintillating power is huge. And if you just leave it and you just go ahead and then you actually don't have control on what comes out in a way. So what I do is I use what I call controlled spinning, and especially it's important for small pieces, like whether it's this or the square, in general, coasters. That's very important that we go just, this is what I call controlled. And of course, it doesn't have to be that slow. But if I have a small piece like this, and especially if I have cells around, almost gonna touch the border, I just go slowly. It can be also 2 to 3 times, depending, but I just don't go, no, I don't do that. Not with coasters. They fly away also sometimes, so, or fly over. And also, when you do huge, big canvases or boards, also, if you go very fast, you kind of don't have control on what you're gonna get. That's my impression anyhow. Now, if you have the cells, all the cells are like all collected in one center, and here you have some cells, but it's okay to lose. Then you can go a bit faster a bit. But also, always, for me, I always love to be in control. The reason also being is, even if it's not a large piece and if it's not a coaster, if I give it, let's say, a couple of turns, I like to see what I end up with. I have actually, and you're gonna see me doing it, I have decided in the middle of my spinning that I can direct this piece to give me a nicer look. It might not give me the usual bloom, but will give me something different and beautiful. So I've done it twice, at least that I remember now. No, actually, maybe 4 or 5 times. Sometimes on small pieces. Also, I directed it that way. So sometimes in the middle of my work, and I've already spent here and here and here, so you know, clockwise, anti-clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, and then I look, but the center here is not so much desired, or here, or here, it doesn't matter. You can actually still tilt it, you know, instead of ending up with the center, or, you know, especially the center, or the center that's not nice. Of course, we all know the trick of skewer, and if the center, if you don't like the center, you can always make a nice center. Now, not every time it comes also as nice, but that's also another way that we adopted. And the way I see it also is, since we started spinning, since we started having, using the hair dryer, we actually lost a beautiful center. But that's another thing also. Or shall I say it now? Okay, let me just say it now. So, the way I see it now, or this is the way I'm gonna go on now on, I'm going to do the hair dryer, and then I'm gonna blow myself into the center if I have to, you know. So using a straw did not give me beautiful centers, and then I had to go with this. But you will see me doing things, so that's why I'm introducing these concepts now. Controlled spinning. And again, you might not agree with me, and you might not like to adopt this, but I have to share what I think is good, and to share the possibility. And then, of course, the choice is yours. Now, the other concept is strategic tilting. And I've already talked about it in a way, saying that if, let's say, you have, for example, one of the pieces I ended up with having a huge copper center here. And I was like, what shall I do? So I actually tilted it strategically, if we can say that. Big word, right? But it is true. And I made a beautiful piece when I tilted the way I tilted. Now, that you will see also me doing that in the, maybe not the second, not the third, maybe the fourth video. But anyhow, they're all recorded. So, second concept, which is strategic, applies more nowadays for, let's say, if you swipe, say, not that clean, but anyhow, let's say you swiped this piece, or this piece, you know, and then you look at the piece and you think, okay, so where should I start with my tilting, right? So that's what I call strategic. You might choose to start from here because you have large cells, you want to get rid of them, but you might then end up, you know, you might want these cells to reach the edge, and then when you go back and you tilt, you get larger cells. Or you might choose to travel the long distance first, and then when you're left with a small distance here, it's easy to manage, right? You don't want to start flipping towards the small distance it's here up until you fill up the large area of let's me call it bald pillow, right? Of course, I have already explained that more when I did the video before this. That set, purple set, that has a lot of tips on how to tilt, what to tilt, and that's what I call strategic tilting. But that doesn't only apply here, it applies to bigger pieces, it applies to, round pieces, especially now it applies to pieces that we want to achieve negative space. You want to direct your your design in a way before you put it on the spin. And again, when you put it on a spin, you want to spin with some control, because you want to see. I would rather that I have a design that I like and not leave it to chance and the power of spinning and the scintillating power. Now that is two. I just decided also to add a little bit of cosmetic, aesthetic medicine into that. And okay, it's almost 12 minutes. Okay, I have a diploma in aesthetic medicine, and I'm just laughing at the idea of aesthetic medicine here. So anyhow, my idea here is, and I will show it to you also. Look at this piece here. That was, to start with, just a piece of yellow that is large compared to this small, tile. So what I did is I took my toothpick for a small piece like this, and around here there was some black selectivator. So what I do is I take some of the selectivator and I go down, and then again, and I try to make them like similar in shape and in size if I can. So this is, for example, in a small piece. But I also, this is not the best that I made, but I will also put the video on, because you've got to see also that I can sometimes make, not the best piece, and, but anyhow, here there was a big blue piece, and also this one here. But I gave up on this from the start. Now, if it's like this, I don't mind it, because it has all, like, it's beautiful. But a piece like this is too much. So usually what I do is, when it's wet, I just finished it. And if I feel it's salvageable, now I looked at this and I was like, no, this is not salvageable. And that's why I didn't do anything here. But I just, because I thought maybe it will be something for a teaching. So basically what I do, when it's wet, and this has to be stable, right? And I just go, and again, if there is a cell activator around, that's the best scenario. But even if there isn't, you can just make that piece beautiful, and then you can make them into smaller, into larger, and sometimes if I like, I can also go in width like this. But I would rather that you keep it simple. At least let me do more of this thing, and then I would know more better. I would give you a better advice. But just going through with this, and keep this and wipe it after you're finished with a tissue paper or something, and then you can use it and use it and use it. So just just you go like this. You make sure that it's nice and neat and good in size. And you would be surprised, it might actually add to your piece, you know, and not stay as a big, huge piece, ugly like this one. So I hope, guys, that you benefited from these concepts, and I hope that you find them also useful when you're going through your journey. And yeah, I just like to share sometimes what, as I develop myself also, I like to share with you what I go through. Okay, guys, have a good day, have a good evening, have a good morning, and thank you for coming to my channel. Bye for now.